Chris Exley discovered with his team was that these children with levels of aluminum in their brains within the first few years of life than the grandmother that died of Alzheimer's. We're injecting this stuff. So he did work and saw that it is definitely.
We contacted the individuals who died with a diagnosis of autism. We thought we had seen astronomical amounts of aluminium in familial Alzheimer's disease, and then we saw values at least as high in autism brain tissue. As I wrote eventually in the publication that we made in the abstract, you know, why when he died would have amounts of aluminium almost never measured before is almost incomprehensible. So
there was a different location in how the aluminum was in the brain in Alzheimer's compared to how it was in the brain in autism.
When we find aluminium in brain tissue in older brains, perhaps to do with Alzheimer's or even multiple sclerosis, most of the time we're finding the aluminium associated with debris in the brain, in other words, cell death, perhaps in neurons sometimes, and as we saw in familial Alzheimer's disease, associated with amyloid. When we did the same thing in the 10, looked where the aluminium was in this time in 10 individuals who died with a diagnosis of autism, we found something completely different. We found that virtually all of the aluminium was not in neurons. It was in the housekeeping cells of the brain, which are such things as the glia and the microglia. It was also in lymphocytes, white blood cells, macrophages that appeared to be crossing from the blood into brain tissue, across the meninges, across the blood-brain barrier. We all of a sudden saw that aluminium was potentially getting into brain tissue via lymphocytes. And of course, it fitted remarkably in some ways with our research.
Right.
Because at the vaccine injection site where an aluminium adjuvant is in the vaccine, what we saw were these same types of white blood cells, macrophages, filling up with aluminium. They could actually ingest it until the whole of the volume of the cell was full of aluminium without causing them any immediate damage.